How does this resonate today? What do you see as the parallels or the meaning of this story for 2009 America?
Well, I think there's a number of them. One, obviously, there's a certain arrogance and hubris, the notion that you can transplant Americana onto Amazonia, right? The most wild and ecologically diverse and complex place in the world. It captures a certain arrogance of American foreign policy. I think it also, in some ways, telegraphs or previews this escalating set of justifications for the Iraq War. The more Fordlandia failed on its own terms, that is, the more it failed to produce latex. I mean, Ford spent close to $1 billion in inflation-adjusted dollars on this project. Not a drop of latex made it into a Ford car. But the more it failed, the more he and company officials justified it as a civilizational mission. It's kind of a Ponzi scheme of high ideals, and it became justified as bringing modernity and bringing America, the American dream, to the Amazon.
When did he finally call it quits?
Well, he didn't really call it quits. His grandson, Henry Ford II, pulled the plug in 1945. By that point, Ford was fairly out of it. He died a few years later, but in some ways, the story tracks very nicely the last 2 decades of Ford's life. And again, thinking of Ford as something like a sorcerer's apprentice, spending a good part of his energy and a good part of his great fortune trying to contain the forces of disruption that he himself unleashes in Fordland.
To bring us up to the current moment, this kind of U.S. project, both the industrialists and the imperialists have had a project of trying to project U.S. power into South America, Latin America. Yeah. We've got 2 stories coinciding today with the apparent coup in Honduras of a sort of leftist leader and the visit of the Colombian president Uribe to the United States with this one of the worst human rights records in the region. Has Obama spoken out yet about what happened in Honduras?
Tepidly at first, but then increasingly in stronger terms. Just contrast the statement that he issued yesterday, where he said he was concerned about he didn't even call it a coup, about events in Honduras, and he didn't say that he wanted the restoration of Zelaya, democratically elected presidents, Mel Zelaya, where every other Latin American, South American, and Central American country were very strong. Most every other country were very strong and in condemning this, and eventually. There's another example of where Latin America is really pushing the United States and really taking the lead, and an example of how the balance of power have shifted somewhat, where it's Latin America, South America particularly, setting the agenda and pushing the United States. And today, the diplomats had said that the goal is restoration of Zelaya.
And those same countries will be watching very closely what happens with Uribe, I imagine.
Yeah, Colombia is a key, linchpin in U.S. foreign policy in Latin America. It's, and it's not unrelated to what happens in Central America, because you could think of it as from Mexico through Central America to Colombia is the corridor where the United States still has influence, as opposed to the rest of South America and Caribbean that's pulling away. And so to begin to lose Honduras, Nicaragua's already on the cusp is quite worrisome, I imagine, for Washington.
All right, Greg Grandin, thank you so much. The new book is Fordlandia: The Rise and Fall of Henry Ford's Forgotten Jungle. It's just out now from Metropolitan Books. There's more information at our website and a link. You can pick it up at your local independent bookstore too. Thanks for coming in, Greg.
Thanks, Laura. It's always great.
Great to see you.